Planet of the Apes, directed by Matt Reeves, who also directed Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. So here we've got Caesar, who is forced into deadly conflict with an army of humans led by a very sort of mad, ruthless leader, only referred to as the Colonel, and he's played by Woody Harrelson. And this conflict is obviously forced upon Caesar as well as all of the apes, because of the results of the second movie, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. And Caesar doesn't want this conflict, he doesn't want this war, but it's been forced upon him. But after Caesar suffers some devastating losses, he is forced into a battle that's going on within himself, a conflict, and that is, what's the right thing to do? He wants to seek revenge, he wants to avenge his kind. But he knows that's not the right thing to do, and as a result, he'll slowly go down, down that path of where Cobra went from the second movie. And so there were a lot of references and comparisons to Cobra within this movie. So you have Caesar battling with his darker instincts, his darker side, his demons, and we've all got that. I mean, we've all got that slightly darker side. Everyone have got their demons, and that's what this movie explores, and it explores it really, really well. And it's as a result of those devastated losses that he's forced down that path, a path that Cobra also went down. That path to the dark side, you could say, and it's a path that he doesn't want to take, but he has to. So I'm going to start off with saying, every few years in cinema, it can be 5, 10, whatever years in cinema, you get a milestone. One example of that is Star Wars from 77, A New Hope. Another example could be Terminator 2 from the early 90s. For me, they're all milestones in cinema. They're movies that really sort of change your life. They could change the world. And they got powerful messages, powerful story. And it's not just about the story, but it's also technological advances as well. I mean, when everyone's seen Star Wars on the screen for the first time, it was like, wow, how did they do that? When you've got the Star Destroyer flying above the screen, I mean, it just blew people away. For me, War for the Planet of the Apes is another one of those milestones. This movie just blew me away. There are moments in this movie where I was looking at the screen and I was like, how the hell did they do that? How did they manage that? The movie is full of beautiful imagery. I loved the cinematography in this movie. It was stunning to look at. I loved some of the shots, including there's a scene on the beach where the apes are on horseback, and just how Matt Reeves chose to shoot this film, the way he directed and shot this film was just stunning and flawless. It was directed masterfully by Matt Reeves. This movie was also a very immersive experience. The way that he shot this film, right from the opening, where it sort of briefly explains what's happened from within the previous two movies, and then you sort of got the camera and it's following these soldiers slowly sort of climbing up this hillside towards the apes camp, and you just focus on the back of each of the helmets, and they've got something like Monkey Killer on one, and it slowly immersed you into this world, and the entire movie is like that. The way in which this movie was shot, I really, really dug it. Have to mention Andy Serkis as Caesar. Once again, he is absolutely amazing. He should be nominated for an award, and his performance was amazing. Like, I'm not entirely sure how much of his performance was used, but when I was watching the film, I would say from year to year, I mean, that was Andy Serkis. You could just see him, but and it looked so real. Everything looked really, it's like, I don't know how they achieved it, because there are moments in this film where you'd see an ape and you see his head, and it looked so real. I actually thought it was an animatronic, or like a puppet or something. It looked that real. I couldn't tell the difference. So yeah, the CGI in this movie for me was out of this world. It actually, I couldn't tell if it was real or not. They looked real. There is a lot more to this film and story that the trailers probably made you believe. Don't go in expecting, these massive full-scale battle scenes all around the planet with apes and humans. This is a very, very deep film. It's bold. It's very dark, bleak on times, and also very, very smart. So in a way, the title is a little bit misleading, but for me, the title sort of made sense while I was watching the film, and for me, it referenced a lot of what Caesar was going through with the conflict within himself, as well as the human race. You know, like I said, everyone's got their demons and got their dark sides, and they're all battling with that. And I feel like the title of this film sort of referenced that to an extent. If anything, it could have probably got away with calling this Battle for the Planet of the Apes or something. But I do think the title was referencing more of the demons that everyone has, you know, that conflict between the light and the dark within people. For me, that's what the title of this film was all about. It's a movie that made me tense. There were a lot of really tense moments in this film, purely down to the way they were shot and performed. Like the beginning scene, the opening scene, in fact, where you got that, like I explained, with the camera behind the soldiers as they walking up the mountain. That scene was incredibly tense, and there are a lot of other character moments within the film which were also very tense. And that's another thing I want to point out, is there are a lot of really nice character moments in this movie. It's also got the right amount of humour, which is provided by Bad Ape. I absolutely loved this character. He was adorable, and again, he was one of those apes where you'd look at his face. There's a moment within the film and he has his face in this sort of in the ground, and it's like, is that real, or is it a puppet, or is it an animatronic? It was incredible. But yeah, I loved the humour that he provided, and it was just the right amount. And this was also a very emotional and heart-wrenching movie as well. So this movie was a mix of emotions, and as a result ended up being an experience. And I've said this many times before, but that's what a film should do, and that should, you know, immerse you into this world and experience the story as if you're there. And it's as a result of the way in which this film was directed and crafted that it became an experience. It was an emotional ride, because it has got battles in it. Even though this movie focuses a lot on character and what characters are going through, there are some battles in this movie, and they are fun and they are exciting. I don't want to say too much more really about the story or anything. I just highly recommend this film. I think everyone should go and check it out. Don't be put off by the likes of me or anyone else saying, don't go in expecting what the trailers sort of made you to believe this movie might all be about, because it's not 2.5 hours of just battles. There's a lot more to it. It's a lot bolder, it's a lot deeper, and it's a lot smarter. And I found this film masterfully, it was masterfully directed by Matt Reeves. I adored this film. I seen it for the first time Monday. I was a little bit late seeing it. I'm not someone who likes to show emotion in front of people, and there was actually a lady in front of me in tears at the end of this movie. I walked to the car and I cried for about 5 minutes. That's how heart-wrenching and emotional this film was. And it's the entire experience. The entire experience of this movie is emotional. There are a lot of moments in this film which has emotional, that has emotional moments. And then I ended up seeing it again last night because I loved it that much. It's one of my favourite movies of the year. For me, this was a flawless movie. The way in which this movie was crafted, the way in which it was directed, performed, the CGI, the music. I absolutely adored the music in this film. It had that sort of 70s classic sound to it, like John Williams. The music was incredible. I just loved the use of instruments like the drums and the violins. It had that classic sort of feel to it, like a John Williams score. And it also helped add a lot of tension and impact to a lot of scenes as well. Michael Giacchino composed the soundtrack in this movie. He did the soundtrack for Rogue One as well most recently. But yeah, I absolutely dug the music, even with the 20th Century Fox logo at the beginning, with the drums and all that. It was amazing. And it reminded me of those old classic sort of fantasy, sci-fi movies, maybe even the original Planet of the Apes. Like, it's been years since I've seen the old Planet of the Apes, but that's what it reminded me of a little bit. It had that proper old classic, old movie feel about it. So yeah, I highly recommend War for the Planet of the Apes. An amazing movie that will just blow you away. It blew me away. This was very well crafted. It's an emotional ride, and it has a lot of deep messages in it for humanity, I felt. I mean, there was a really strong message in there for us as a human race. And, this film makes you believe, yeah, humans are doomed. We are, and we bring it upon ourselves. But are we actually destined to doom ourselves? Are we destined to, go down this path where we just gonna, we are gonna be the creators of our own destruction, really? And this film really explored that very well. So yeah, I highly recommend it. It's exciting. It's got the right amount of humor. It's fun, and it's everything that you want a film to be, a movie experience. It's an experience. It's also, a great conclusion to one of the greatest trilogies in fantasy and sci-fi. I probably rate this trilogy up there with the Dark Knight trilogy. I absolutely adored these movies. So yeah, I would be giving War for the Planet of the Apes an A+. Thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. What did you think of War for the Planet of the Apes? Did the trailers mislead you? Let me know below. I've got a few unboxings coming up. I've got the Z box, which is delayed. I've got click crates coming, and I've also got the A box on its way as well. So yeah, I'm looking forward to bringing you those. And if you like what you see and you're a big geek like me, then why not hit subscribe?